Prince Sports, bitch. Let's get it. What's up, guys? Prince Sports here. All right, before we get started, I want to tell everybody, this is my top 5 most overrated players playing in the league today. Okay, not of all time. I'm just picking right now who's the most overrated players, in my opinion, playing in the game today. Now, before I even get started with this list, don't get in your feelings. FOF. All right. Don't drop the water. Don't get flimsy with the water. Okay. This is strictly my opinion. Okay. You may have a different list of your overrated players. You may think some of the guys on my list is not overrated. Okay. Now, FOF stands for facts over feelings. Okay. So, sorry, I got stuck there a minute. Facts over feelings. Okay. But this is not a fact. So when you say something like, I think this guy is overrated.
My nigga.
That's not a fact. That's an opinion, okay? And just so we could translate what the word overrated means, my man, Usain Bolt, he's pointing at it, as you can see in this picture right here. That's the statement of what overrated means, okay? Overrated doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you're garbage. It doesn't mean you trash. It just means you get over-deserved credit. You know, some credit that you shouldn't be getting in the first place. So, with that said, let me start off with my list. Number 5 on my list is Russell Westbrook. Okay? This guy is the epitome of stat padding, if you ask me. He's basically averaged a triple-double in the most stat padding way that you could possibly think of. You know, he stat padded his way to MVP, basically. You know, he wanted to stack up numbers and individual awards. And this is the same guy that wanted to leave James Harden because he couldn't control the ball as much as James Harden. He wanted the spotlight, and he wanted to have the ball in his hands. He's also the same guy that says,
Die today. Death to you, bitch. Die. I'm not fucking.
I want to play basketball my way, with me being ball dominant, having the ball in my hand. He wants to accumulate those stats. He couldn't do that with playing with James Harden. That's one of the main reasons why he wanted out. Westbrook is a guy that puts stats above winning. And to me, that's the least respect that I could give to a basketball player. I don't respect a basketball player that cares more about his stats than actual winning. Now, I'm pretty sure all superstars care about their stats, but not to the point that you're going to make it your number one option. Okay? That don't fly with me. So that's number 5 for me. Number 4 for me is Ben Simmons, okay? This guy is another definition of today's league to why a guy has such a limited scoring skill set, but is able to average double digits and still have his way going to the basket because of the way the game is today, because you can't touch nobody. You know, this guy can't shoot for the life of me, you know, for the life of anybody. You know, I'm not sold on a guy that's supposed to be a franchise player. And he don't embody none of the qualities of a franchise player. Overrated scorer in many ways, okay? Doesn't have go-to moves, limited on scoring. Ben Simmons is known as a good passer, but he's not a great passer, okay? He's like a poor man's version of LeBron James, if you ask me. And so that's how I look at him. So Ben Simmons is number 4 for me. Number 3 is none other than a guy that could be considered underrated too. I would say he's 70% overrated, 30% underrated, and that's LeBron James, okay? One of the things that makes LeBron overrated for me is his defense. He's an overrated defender, but he gets credit as if he's like a lockdown defender, when even in his prime, he really wasn't a one-on-one lockdown defender like that. He's a great help defender. The chase down block is a help defensive move. Your guy outbeats you. He's running to the other side of the court. He's going to meet one or two bodies standing in his way because the basket is somebody's still going to be standing in front of the basket in most cases. And they have blocked that guy off from doing a layup. He's about to do the layup or a dunk, and LeBron creeps up from behind and knocks the ball away from him. That's great help defense, okay? He's a great help defensive player, but another thing that's overrated for me about LeBron James is his scoring ability. He's 18th season playing basketball, still doesn't have a true go-to move. He has very limited offensive moves. He has that spin around move that he does, but in his age, at age 36, he just looks tired and beat up. And his offensive game is still overrated because he scores from 10 or less feet to the basket. Okay, I repeat, 10 or less feet to the basket. Keep in mind, the
nigga, help me.
Free throw line is 15 feet away from the basket. Okay, so he's not even a good scorer going outside of that 10-foot range. All right, and he still gets a lot of majority of his baskets from layups and dunks. His shot selection is still up and down, if you ask me. Okay, 3-point shooter, he's averaged. He shoots a career of 34% from three. All right, that's not mind blowing. It's not great. I mean, Michael Jordan shot 32. Both of these guys had seasons when they go off and on shooting threes. But I don't want neither one of them shooting threes, if you ask me. Then they're not great 3-point shooters, LeBron or Michael Jordan. So, that aspect is not like a true overrated aspect. It's because he never was a good 3-point shooter like that anyway, or a free throw shooter. But nevertheless, it's still a weakness of his. Okay? And last but not least, what makes LeBron overrated to me is the extensive media coverage, from the Nick Wrights to the Shannon Sharps, Jaylen Brown, the Jason Williams, Kendrick Perkins. He have a whole Avengers squad that defends LeBron James. If you don't see
Meaning the second that happened, the floodgates just opened.
that, then you must be blind, or you just love LeBron James so much that you don't see to the point that the whole media talks and worships LeBron James. There's other players out there, and I think the NBA did a poor job of just managing one player, when there's other players in the league. Now, number 2 and number 1. All right, so let's go to number 2. Number 2 for me, most overrated, is Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy that puts the term superstar to shame. This guy has 2 offensive moves. He has that Euro step, and he has that turnaround dunk that he does when he attacks the basket. His jump shot is suspect, to say the least, okay? Playoff time come, if you can't show up, you're not a superstar. So that term of labeling him as a superstar is overrated to begin with, okay? I got him at number 2. I was going to move him down to 3 and push LeBron up to 2, but then I thought about it. LeBron is more accomplished than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Got to always keep that in mind. And Giannis, he don't have a better offensive game than LeBron James. And that's saying a lot to me, because LeBron James is not the best skill set offensive player to me neither. He's more of a power player, pretty much like a more athletic version of Karl Malone, is what I see LeBron James as. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is definitely overrated for me, man. A guy that comes up short in the playoffs is not a superstar, okay? You got to still go out on your own terms, even if you don't have a championship contending team, So miss me with that, man. He should have been at least. If he was that dude, he would have probably made it to the finals by now and probably lost. But at least he would have still made it. All right. Number 1, the most overrated basketball player to me right now playing in the game is none other than the beard James Harden himself. This man left Houston, though the white flag pretty much.
Nigga, help me.
Don't want to be a franchise player and win a championship with Houston when they bent over backwards, gave you everything that you needed. You go crying to KD and Kyrie Irving. Two other chumps. Kevin Durant would have been on my honorable mentions for most overrated too, because this guy, his winning doesn't impress me. Because if he wins a championship this year, it'd be with another super team. He won his other 2 championships with Golden State, another super team. Him and LeBron are very identical. They're 2 guys that always looking for that edge of getting more help. There's no doubt in my mind that both of those guys are guys that like stacking the deck, or they're not looking for the challenge. That's not respectable to me. That's not the type of basketball or sports that I'm into. I like to have a challenge, So, James Harden, though, he's by far the number 1 overrated player. His scoring ability is overrated. This guy depends on most of his scoring gets dependent on calls from the referees. To me, that's not a good scorer. If anybody had these regular season numbers that he had, they should have shot over 50% from now. That stat that Jordan had, averaging 30 points a game and shooting over 50% from the field, that should have been James Harden. Okay? If anybody else should have had that stat, it should be James Harden. But he never did that for a season. It goes to show me that because half of his scoring ability comes at the free throw line. He lives at the free throw line. If he doesn't get those calls, his production goes down. And he's another guy that overused the term superstar. Okay? I can't label you a superstar if your resume in the playoffs is a little bit disappointing, to say the least. And number 2, dog, you quit. And then you went to Kevin Durant. Got to keep that same energy. So James Harden is number 1 overrated to me. Prince Sports out. Peace.